City of Fulton, Missouri into order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
We will now move to comments from the visitors. We have 2 public hearings scheduled this evening. If you wish to speak on either of those matters, please hold your comments until the appropriate public hearing is called. Otherwise, if you'd like to address the council, please come to the podium, state your name and your address of record. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. The council will not respond at this time. However, comments will be referred to the staff for follow-up as appropriate.
Hello. Just comments.
Okay, perfect.
Right? Hi, my name is Marcy Combs. I live at 1108 Coates and Desson here in Fulton. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you guys tonight. I'm a mom of 5, 4 of which are still minors. And so I came to you tonight to talk about Bill 1173 as it pertains to minors, curfews, and parental responsibility. While I appreciate the intent of this ordinance, there are a few concerns I have. We all want young people to be safe, families to be supported, and our community to thrive. My concern is that this proposal may cause unintentional harm while trying to do good. The ordinance addresses both curfew and parental responsibility. And as I review the ordinance, I noticed that the areas are quite subjective, which I understand leave room for discretion, yes, but also open up the possibility of profiling or accusations of profiling. In practice, the weight of this ordinance is unlikely to fall evenly. Families with typical work schedules and strong support systems will be better positioned to navigate the changes this ordinance states. But families working multiple jobs, single-parent households, those facing health challenges, or those under stress may find it much harder to meet those expectations. The ordinance does allow for school, church, employment, organized activities, and errands directed by parents, as far as the curfew, I understand. But and those are important and reasonable exceptions, but it leaves little room for teenagers to exercise independent judgment in healthy ways that aren't tied to an institution or directed by parental instruction. Teens sometimes need space to make choices, clear their heads, develop their own responsibility. And that might look like going for a late night walk, running around the block, which I know my older 2 have done on occasion during the hours of midnight and 6 a.m. They might need to meet with a friend to talk, or simply being out in a way that may not fall under the allowable criteria. We already have laws in place to address harmful behavior like trespassing, theft, vandalism, and other offenses. And we also have curfew laws as it pertains to driving. Those should absolutely be enforced, but this ordinance risks expanding accountability beyond harmful actions and leaves room for inconsistent application. As we consider how to strengthen families and support young people, I hope we remain mindful that policies intended to protect can sometimes create unintended harm. Our community is strongest when support comes alongside accountability and not in the place of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Combs. Okay, seeing nobody else, we will now move to public hearings. I will give 3 calls for comments in favor of the request and 3 calls for comments opposed to the request. Anyone wishing to speak may do so during the appropriate call, and comments are not are not limited to 3 individuals. 3 calls are made to ensure everyone who have missed an earlier opportunity still have a chance to be heard. The public hearing is considered to be a request of a proposed rezoning of tract land located on 606 Churchill Drive from R1 to R3 residential. The public hearing is now open. If you'd like to speak in favor, please come forward and state your name and address of record. First call for comment in favor of. Second call for comment in favor of. Third and final call for comment in favor of. Okay, that closes the in favor of. If you'd like to speak in opposition, please come forward. First call for comments opposed to. Second call for comments opposed to. Third and final call for comments opposed to. Seeing no further comments, I will close the public hearing. The next public hearing is to consider the request proposed rezoning lots 4, 5, and 6 of Chestnuts Heights subdivision located on Easy Street from R1 residential to R3 residential. The public hearing is now open. If you'd like to speak in favor, please come forward and state your name, address for record. First call for comments in favor of. Second call for comments in favor of. Third and final call for comments in favor of. Okay, favor of is closed. If you would like to speak in opposition, please come forward. First call for comments opposed to. Second call for oh. That's okay.
No, I'm fine, thank you. I'm a resident of Coates and Desson. Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Connie Williams. My address is 807 Coates and Desson. I just would prefer not to have multiple family dwellings in our neighborhood. The reason being, Coates and Desson has a tendency to be more like 30s sort of suggested, but 50s acceptable. People zip down our street all the time, back and forth. And it's not that far from Old Jeff City Road down to the next stoplight or stop sign. But it's like, how fast can I get there? And I just think that although it's a busy road, having additional housing there, multi-family housing in that neighborhood would only increase the traffic. I used to walk, used to walk my dog, and there's no sidewalks. And it's a little bit scary to sit there or stand on the side of the road, hoping that, they won't hit you and knock you in the ditch or something. Because one side, we have a ditch, which I'm well acquainted with because of my dog. The other side is just street, and the mailboxes are up close to the street. So there's really no place to have what I would consider a safe walking area down Coates and Desson. And my honest opinion is we've already got rental properties very close, down on one end of the street, and we've got rental properties on the other end of the street, but I don't think we need more rental properties. And the main thing is the traffic and the safety, because there are people with children on that street, and there are people with pets. And if you've ever owned a pet, they like to do the escape thing out the front door as soon as they think they can. And I'm afraid that somebody's going to get hurt, actually, on our streets. Two different things, I know, but they tie together with the traffic problem that we already have. And since Easy Street comes right out onto Coates and Dustin, that will increase that traffic. And I know down on one end, there are children that play. And it concerns me.
Thank you very much. Okay. Second call for comments in opposo.
Deborah Kuntz, 804 Coat Sandesson Road. I don't oppose R1 on Easy Street, as that would just be a continuation of what is already currently there and is very satisfactory. We have no problem from that community that live on Easy Street, and it is billed as a sign right there at the beginning of Easy Street as a retirement community. And so R1 would seem to facilitate that environment. And R3, I'm just not sure if that would open us up to fourplexes and more housing that's would be busier and, as Connie pointed out, add more stress and to the environment and the traffic situation that we already have there on Coat Sandesson, and without sidewalks. That's just a personal note from people who live on Coat Sandesson, but thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Okay, third and final call for comments opposo. Seeing no further comments, I will close the public hearing. Okay, we will now move to the consent agenda. The consent agenda includes the following items: Morals and Microbrews scheduled for May 2nd, 2026. Appointment of Andrew Huey to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a partial 4-year term through June 2027. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
No. We'll have to pull that off if we want to discuss it. Do you want that removed from the item? Okay, if we can remove that.
Oh, we need to remove that item?
Yeah, we're removing item B.
So we need will you be willing to
I'll amend my agenda to approve the Morels and Microbrews portion of the consent agenda.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion for Morals and Microbrews and a second on that. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The consent agenda for the Morals and Microbrews is approved. All right, let's discuss item B here. Appointment for Andrew Huey to Planning and Zoning Commission for a partial 4-year term through June 2027.
I have no problem with Andrew being on the commission, other than I guess he wouldn't be able to vote on those if it's any issues that concerning something that he's developing. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
We've had contractors on the planning and zoning in the past.
We have some now, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have others.
Yes, I was just wondering if that's the case. I have no problem.
Yeah.
with him being on that.
They would need to abstain if it's something that affects them, just like we would have to.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Sorry to answer for you.
Is there any concern that he's related to one of the other council or other board members?
Was something I discussed with Mayor Myers. He actually also addressed that question. That being said, with it being an appointment that's up to council discretion, we do have other boards and commissions where we have family members or people who are related on those as well. As far as from the city's perspective, though, there's not a concern that I can reflect, and I believe that the mayor was in favor of that as well.
It could create a problem meeting a quorum if there was something that would come up that would affect their businesses.
That was my concern as well. I know that we were talking about him recusing himself. Does he have to? Like, if he really,
It's a matter of personal interest, yes.
okay, thank
Absolutely.
you, Kathy.
Okay, any further questions? Do we have a motion to approve that portion B of the consent agenda? Thank you, Councilman Washington. And do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve that. All in favor, signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Consent agenda is approved. There's no unfinished business this evening. New business. We will move to the new business. The first item to consider is excusing the mayor from the city council meetings from February 10th through May 5th, and to recognize the deputy mayor as acting mayor during this period pursuant to the city charter. Is there any motion?
I move we excuse the mayor from city council meetings from February 10th through May 5th due to illness, and the deputy mayor will act as mayor, acting mayor.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on that. Any conversation?
As a point of clarification, I would just state that 3 months is the standard period of time that the city typically provides. This does not mean necessarily that the mayor wouldn't be present in that 3 months, but certainly that it would give him the excusal formally from this council during that time period.
And also, this is not the first time that in our history that it's been done.
Correct.
And we can always extend it if it would go longer, if necessary, right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. That has been passed. The next item for new business is consideration on canceling the March 10th city council meeting to support the Kingdom Supper community event. Is there a motion to do that?
I make a motion to cancel the March 10th council meeting. I think this is something that we maybe did last year as well. Is that correct? I think that there's a lot of council people that want to attend that, as well as a lot of people in the community. And I know a lot of people watch this, even though you can stream it after the meeting happens. I know there's a lot of people that like to watch it live. So I do make a motion that we cancel that March 10th meeting in order for people to be able to attend that Kingdom Supper.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Could we reach out to the folks that organize this and see if they could adjust the date in the future years? I think it used to be in January that it got moved to March, and I don't remember if the conflict existed back then. I don't think it did, but if I don't know who organizes it. So, okay, thank you.
Take a look, Councilman.
Okay,
West.
thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Let's move on to the city council concerns and liaison reports. We will start with Councilwoman Nelson.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. There has not been a utility board meeting since the last council meeting. So I have no updates or reports on that, and I have no concerns tonight. Yay for the warm weather.
Thank you, Councilwoman Nelson. I'm the next one in line. We have a Public Safety Commission meeting coming up at the end of this month. And I have No concerns at this time. The next one will be Councilman West.
Okay, thank you. So the Human Rights Commission met last night. So discussed the Celia Vigil, which happened on a Sunday in December, and it was well attended, and the remarks were that it was one of the best ones ever. In fact, they said it kind of was the second best ever, but, because that's a judgment call, of course, but, so it's good that that community, that was actually community organized event. So that's great. Second item was, we talked about Juneteenth for this year. There's going to be a meeting on, this coming Sunday, the 15th at 5 o'clock at Guiding Light Church, and Wanda Brown has been chosen to be the speaker. My understanding is she's an educator she's from here, but she was an educator in Columbia. I believe she's retired now, but anyway, so plans are underway on organizing Juneteenth for this year. Jane Biederman Fike Award was discussed, and they're working, the committee's working to get that posted on our Facebook, etc. Taking nominations now until 1st of June, and they hope to make the presentation at the June 23rd City Council meeting of the award. And it's open to any lady, female in the city limits that makes a contribution over and beyond their job to the community betterment. Kathy may help me there a little bit, but. And then coming up in April is Fair Housing Month, and discussing a poster contest. Last year we got no entries, but we're going to try again and see if we have some success there. That was it. Good. It was a good meeting.
Okay, thank you, Councilman West.
I have no real concerns, but I want to thank the city staff for indulging me when I have questions and concerns. So I really do appreciate all the city staff and all of our workers that keep the city moving at all times. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman West. Councilwoman Recluse.
Yes, we did not have a public safety meeting this last month, so we do have one coming up. And this evening, I have no other concerns at this time. Thank you for everyone for coming tonight.
Thank you, Councilwoman Recluse. Councilwoman Hanson is not here tonight. Councilman Luther.
Yes, as far as really some updates from the last meeting, I was trying to get some updated statistics. So we had that snowstorm, a lot of hard work by our city employees, and I was really concerned about safety, of course, of our citizens, but also our employees with the boots on the ground. And I did find out that there were no injuries from our city employees as well, which is amazing. I mean, they're out there, they're pushing snow, they're running around, they're in very dangerous situations, and safety is number one priority for our employees as well, the city. So I appreciate everyone staying safe, and I appreciate the update from Courtney on that. And I don't have any concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Luther. Councilman Combs.
Yes, Deputy Mayor. The Planning and Zoning Commission met right before our last meeting, so we've not, and I talked about that last time, so we've not met since then on any different issues, but I don't have any concerns tonight either.
Thank you, Councilman Combs. Councilman Washington.
Thank you. Yes. I believe that the Parks and Rec had a meeting on the 17th. I wasn't able to attend. Did we have a board meeting? Okay, thank you. I'm sorry I didn't. Also, I have no other concerns, but I do want to give a shout out, and I see that Reverend Jackson's here. I'm gonna ask if he would come up, and we have the celebration of Black History, which will be on the 22nd of February. And would you happen to know, or Linda Roots is here too as well, the speaker for that day? Reverend Jackson, or who else is speaking up? Would you come up and share with the
Good evening, everyone. I don't remember the gentleman's name. He does a presentation on the bicycle riders from Missoula, Montana to St. Louis. They were looking at going away from the horses and the cavalry, so they rode bicycles as as a test to see if it could be done. And then I guess the car was developed and they went away from riding bicycles. The army, the cavalry. So it's on the, okay.
Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you, Reverend. I apologize. I had that paper and I just didn't get a chance to bring it, but I just want to give a shout out. There is on the 22nd of, at 2 o'clock at Guiding Light Missionary Baptist Church. We'll be having that Black History celebration at that time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Washington. We will now move to resolutions. Since Councilman Hanson is not here tonight, Councilman West, would you please present Resolution 3603?
Sorry, I was making a note, so, I want to get that on my calendar, the Black History Celebration. Okay, so, I should have been prepared, sorry. I can find it. All right, found it. Okay, resolution number 3603-26. Memorandum of Understanding with City of Fulton Electrical Employees, IBEW Local 1439. A resolution authorizing the mayor on behalf of the City of Fulton, Missouri to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the City of Fulton Electrical Employees Local IBEW Local 1439 and establish an effective date. I move that we adopt Resolution 3603 at tonight's council meeting.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 3603. Any discussion?
As you all know, there was quite a period of time of negotiations back and forth with the IBEW and their representation as well. And I do have to say that our negotiating team on the city side, and I believe their negotiating team, also feel very comfortable in this agreement. It was extensive discussion and good faith negotiation, and formally I want to go ahead and encourage the city council to move forward with the approval of this measure. I think we all very much value our electric employees, power plant employees, and so on and so forth, as we value all of our city employees. And so this is a step to go ahead and get this contract finalized so we can move forward and get out of the negotiation phase and go back to regular operations. And I have no doubt that we'll be able to do that satisfactorily and make sure that all of our other employees are satisfied as well.
I'd also like to thank Madam DOA and all her staff with all the hard work that they did on this. There was a lot of work behind the scenes, and it is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. All in favor of approving resolution number 3603, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The motion passed. Resolution passed. Councilman Combs, would you please present resolution 3604?
Yes, Deputy Mayor. Resolution 3604, airfield pavement maintenance and drainage improvements. A resolution authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri to execute all necessary documents related to a construction agreement with Skodler Construction for the Elton Hensley Memorial Airport Airfield Pavement Maintenance and Drainage Improvements Project, MoDOT project number 24-040A-1, and establishing an effective date. I make a motion to adopt resolution number 3604 at tonight's meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The motion, or the resolution passes. Okay. Ordinances, first reading. We will now move to ordinance first reading. Councilman Washington, please present bill number 1776 for first reading.
Bill number 1776, rezoning 606 Churchill Drive, an ordinance reclassifying a tract of land located at 606 Churchill Drive in Fulton, Missouri from R1 residents to R3 residents under the zoning code of the city of Fulton and establish an effective date. I make a motion that we move 1776 to second reading at the next scheduled council meeting.
Second?
Clarify, if you all do intend on having any discussion on this measure, you will need a second. If not, it will die.
Okay. Bill number 1776, rezoning of 606 Church Trail Drive has died. Councilwoman Nelson, please present bill number 1777.
Yes, Deputy Mayor. Bill number 1777, rezoning East Street, Lot 4, 5, and 6, Chestnut Heights subdivision. An ordinance reclassifying a tract of land known as Lot 4, 5, and 6 of the Chestnut Heights subdivision on East Street in Fulton, Missouri from R1 residential to R3 residential under the zoning code of the city of Fulton and establishing an effective date. Make a motion we place bill number 1777 for second reading at next council meeting.
Second.
Second.
Okay, let's open this up for discussion. I want,
Are you ready for discussion,
Ready?
Mary, or did you have anything?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I was just gonna say and Alan can probably expand on this a little bit more, that we had opposition tonight, obviously, at our public hearing, which is unusual, and thank you for those of you that came out, discussed that. The issues with the traffic, increased traffic, the increased number of housing units in this area are a concern, and I don't know what else was discussed at the planning and zoning meeting. I did read the minutes, but it didn't really expand a lot on what discussions happened there. So, based on that, I'm thinking that this is something we want to reject. Maybe an R2 might be more in order than an R3. R3 is pretty much an apartment building, as long as correct me if I'm wrong, as long as the tract of land can accommodate it. I mean, we have a ratio.
so I'd like to also add something, and I was at the meeting, and the zoning committee did make a recommendation that we would kill this ordinance. So my feeling is unless we have a really good reason, we should go with what our committee says.
Can we just get some clarification on R1, R2, and R3, just so our community is aware?
And while he's coming, isn't this tract of land, is that where Mine Shaft, I think the YMCA had a large area, is where Mine Shaft and the soccer, they used to play soccer. Is that, do I got that confused in the area when I'm looking at?
It's very close to it. The next property is adjoining to it.
Right,
I
that's
think
it,
the property
exactly
to
right.
the east
Okay.
of it is adjoining the
Yeah.
backside. East or south, but it's right in the same area where the old
Yeah.
fields were.
That's right.
And I'll try to do the R1, R2, and R3, but since I'm the one standing at the podium, but Kathy and Courtney can feel free to jump in. Starting with the R3, yes, that's apartments. That's basically anything that's not commercial. It does still have to fit the land, and there is restrictions as far as how much parking. But one thing probably to keep in your mind is you can also build up. It doesn't have to be a single level. So where you may think that there's not enough parking here, if they go vertical, that the parking would probably work out in spots. Not talking about this particular piece of ground, but just any piece of ground. And R1 is pretty much just residential single family. And R2 is, your fourplexes. I think the fourplex is as big as you can put on R2, if I remember right. We looked it up the other day. We got this little handy dandy chart that's actually comes up very handy. But as you go up in the numbers, that just opens it up more and more to what can be on there. And when we're looking at the zoning, we can't say, oh, well, this guy wants to build this. You have to look to see if the zoning is appropriate for that piece of property. So,
Daryl's absolutely correct. So R1 to R3 just simply defines the density of that zoning. So R1 is the least dense with single-family homes all the way up to R3, which would be potentially the most dense. And then, as Daryl mentioned, just remember zoning decisions have to be made on whether or not that zoning is appropriate for the specific parcel, not on building layouts, site layouts, or anything like that. We have to make sure that these zoning decisions are made based solely on whether or not that criteria is met, whether it's an appropriate zoning for the parcel. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dunlap.
When I was looking at this, and I did quite a few games in that area where the soccer field, where the YMCA used to have that. It seems to be a large amount of land. I'm not sure how many acres that is, but it seemed like it will handle some housing units in that place. So I didn't see the problem that if someone wants to build and the land fits what they want to build, it seems like they should be able to build it. That's my opinion. If I had some land that I want to build on it, I should have the right to see if I can get that passed in that zoning to build it.
I'd like to say something.
Yeah, go ahead.
I feel that with the way the road is, the little narrow road, the no parking, walking is safety, I disagree with that. I think that the zoning to bring in bigger buildings or things like that, that area is not ideal for that type of things to be built, is my opinion.
Yeah, in the section where she pointed out on Easy Street, I know what section that is.
Yes, I do.
But that's a small portion of where they want to go. Where they want to go is off Chestnut, where there's a road, there's a house right there. And the road goes all the way back to the backside where Mine Shaft is, and it covers a great area. So anyway, that's my concern.
Madam DOA, could you
I disagree.
also give a little more on when you say it's based on parcel and what that means for us as far as our voting and whatnot?
Yeah, so all of these things are great considerations as far as traffic, safety, roadways, all those good things that were mentioned this evening. And certainly we, as a council, I would encourage you to make sure that you're making decisions based on all of those factors. Just bear in mind, sometimes we get a little siloed in our thinking, and because we know what potentially might go there, we try to make a decision based off of whether we like that thing or not. That isn't proper. So we need to make sure that when we're looking at the specific tract of land, we look at adjoining properties, densities, all of those factors to make a good informed decision. Both Councilwoman Reclus and Councilman Washington, you bring up excellent points. I always want our council and our community to keep in mind that when we say we're open for business or we say we're open for development, that we also follow through with that. So it's about a balance. We have to make sure that we're putting these sorts of properties and these zonings in the right areas, because we do need development, and we do need development commercially as well. But as a council and as the Planning and Zoning Commission, ultimately the job lies in looking at the parcel and the adjoining parcels and making sure that the zoning criteria is appropriate. Is that a little clearer?
Yes, thank you.
Well, I would think that we would also need to consider the infrastructure in the area, and I'm not sure the roads can support it at this point in time.
The thing I would note on that
Yeah.
is specifically infrastructure like roadways, curb guttering, things like that.
Right.
Potentially, those are going to be on the city to address after the fact or before the effect. But we can't necessarily consider a road that's adjacent as a criteria for saying that a piece of property over here should or shouldn't be rezoned. And I get that
Yeah.
all those things factor in,
Right.
absolutely. But to make the correct decision under the statutory regulation, we have to look at the parcel itself and determine whether or not that zoning is appropriate.
And I'm sure the developer, whoever's going to develop and put out, they're going to be involved in that, developing the roads and things like that, so.
Yeah, but not the adjacent ones.
Correct, not the adjacent roads, but anything, any new construction would,
That's
or
right.
new construction would have to meet our current building
That's
codes.
exactly right.
Yes.
I'd still like to say something. I'm here to make decisions that are very important for the city, and I appreciate citizens coming in tonight and speaking their mind, telling us what you think. And basically, thank you again, and we'll see what happens here. We'll do our best.
I'd also like to remind the council, I know this has been brought up multiple times on a master plan. Master plan, though, you still can't encompass every decision point along the way. That would help us in making these decisions more based on the future plans and progress of the city versus kind of one piece at a time. So just like to reiterate that, maybe that's something the planning and zoning committee can start looking at, or how we really get that process started, but that would definitely help any decision-making process, so we're not just, having these conversations, which are very good to have, but hopefully be a little easier to come to the consensus on the correct and appropriate process to have for our zonings.
Okay, I think that exhausts all the comments. All in favor of pushing bill number 1777 onto the next council meeting? Please signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay?
No.
Nay. Could, Madam Clerk, we have a roll call?
We'd start with Ms. Hanson, Mr. Hinchey,
Yeah, nay.
Mr. Luther,
No.
Ms. Nelson, Ms. Reclue, Mr. Washington, Mr. West. That's okay. And Mr. Combs.
No.
Thank you.
Okay, so ordinance number 1777 has died in place. Councilman Combs, please.
I do really quickly want to clarify, simply because these ordinances have died does not mean that those property owners may not wish to come back with a different rezoning request. So I think there is potential, certainly on at least one of these tracks, for the property owner to maybe come back with a different rezoning request. So even though these measures have failed, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily a no to all requests. And certainly the council will have the responsibility of viewing those next requests as they come in and making the decision at that time.
Thank you for clarifying that. Councilman Combs, please present bill number 1778 for first reading.
Yes, Deputy Mayor. Bill number 1778, MoDOT City Limits Sign E-Agreement, number 2025-08-87983. An ordinance authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri to sign all necessary documents in relation to an agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for participation in a sign program for the installation and maintenance of a city limit signs with the city logo on US Highway 54 and authorizing execution thereof. I make a motion to put bill number 1778 for second reading at the next meeting.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
To clarify on this, I've been working with MoDOT and Daryl and his team as well so that we can get our city limit signs updated. I know that if the mayor was here, he would argue that we need to move where they are, and I made that argument as well. Certainly the one coming from Kingdom City seems a little misplaced for me, but they have assured me they've measured it time and time again. So that being said, because it's been more than 20 years since our last signed agreement, we do have to have an ordinance to authorize a new agreement to get those new signs placed.
So do we have a proposed design on what this sign is gonna look like, or is it just gonna say Fulton?
It's just going to have the city logo, and otherwise it's the standard MoDOT sign.
The logo with the three lights
Yes.
thing? Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
No further discussion? All in favor signify by moving this on to the next council meeting, signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Okay, this bill will be pushed on to the next meeting. Okay, ordinance on second reading. Councilman Luther, please present bill number 1774 for second reading.
Yes, bill number 1774, code amend, open burning recreational fires and burn permits, an ordinance amending chapter 50 of the Code of Ordinances of the city of Fulton, Missouri by adding Article 4, open burning recreational fires and burn permits to establish clear standards for outdoor fires, promote public safety, and establishing an effective date.
Do we have a second?
I haven't made one motion.
To clarify, anyone can make a motion. But again, as I stated earlier, in order to have any discussion on this measure, we will have to have a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion to place bill number 1774 for third reading at the next council meeting.
Any discussion?
Clarifications were made. I am going to ask Fire Chief Singh to come up and talk a little bit more about some of the edits that he made to this ordinance. One thing that I know was discussed pretty heavily was the cutoff time, which previously I believe was 10 p.m. in the first draft. Now that is midnight. But Chief Singh, could you please walk us through your modifications?
Yeah, so as we discussed last time, there was some concerns about the time as 10 o'clock. And looking into it, yeah, I can see those concerns and was able to, thought it would be fair to move it to midnight. And, you know, as we discussed before, a lot of times nothing good happens after midnight. So want to make sure that, you know, we extend that time to be a little more fair. So that was a change that we had done. And then some just clarifications as to the areas of burning. I know there was concern about fire located at least 25 feet. So added in there unless approved by the fire official based on site conditions. Because we understand that there are people that don't have 25 feet away from everything. And to be able to have a recreational fire to sit around, a lot of them are on their back patio. So, you know, something like that, yes, we can, you know, and then having an approved container is another thing that's important. Let's see, what's some other questions that you all had? I can't recall all of them.
You also changed what they're allowed to burn and what the burn permits that you would issue.
Yes. So obviously the conditions, those are there. Find that location here.
There's some criteria under 50-83, which is prohibited, some of the items that are prohibited.
Oh yeah, prohibited.
Yep.
Yeah, so no burning of garbage, household waste, construction materials, painted or treated wood, pallets, furniture, plastic, tires, rubber, petroleum products, or any other material banned by Missouri Department of Natural Resources. So on an open burn permit, when it talks about the open burning, those are things where we will come to the site and make sure that it's a safe burn area. So that we're not having, you know, a really big fire that could end up into a neighbor's tree or into power lines, things like that. So it's going to be site, you know, something where we can come and look at the site and be able to decide if that is. And we want to see what will be burned. Because, you know, I had a call today about somebody wanting to burn pallets. That's not allowed because it's not natural material. So
I think there was also a question previously about burning brush. So that language I don't believe is specifically included in here any longer. However, the Missouri Department of Conservation, obviously, or I'm sorry, Missouri Department of Natural Resources has some criteria, which again is stated in here that we would follow that language as well.
question.
Some of the challenges I still see is one, the 25 feet. I know you can go to your department stores, buy these gas fire pits, right? I don't know if we can change that language to, if you're looking at something like that, and or manufacturers' safety recommendations, and then maybe with that, do we need to distinguish burning wood, lumber versus gas? Because gas won't really have the particulate. So does that even need to be included into the prohibited discussion if you're burning like I have a gas fire pit on the back of my porch, natural gas.
So
that might be a
as a
difference.
recreational fire, those, as this reads, if I remember correctly, you don't have to have the burn permit for that. You have to meet those. So it's not like every time you want a recreational fire, you have to call and say, hey, we
Yeah.
want to have a marshmallow roast tonight, so can you come give us a burn permit? It's not like that. Recreational fire would be just, if we have a neighbor call and complain about your recreational fire, we would come and see that it is meeting within this code.
So if this were to pass, and then everyone in the city that has a burn pit or gas fireplace in their back porch would have to call and get permission to use them
No, so
with the,
for burn permit, and Kathy can help me if I get this wrong, but burn permits will be mainly for the open burning. So if it's not classified as a recreational fire, that's when you would need a burn permit.
looking at the language
So-
though, if it's less than 25 feet, you got to get approved by the fire official based on site conditions. So I'm just curious how we'd handle all the ones that are already existing, I guess, on a back porch somewhere.
So for me, looking at 50-85A, burn permit required, a burn permit is required for all open burning not classified as a recreational fire. Is that,
I think what he's trying to say is when you have a recreational fire, as this reads, we'd have to have somebody from the fire department come out and inspect that fire pit initially. Our current code, which is the 2015 International Fire Code, states that if recreational fires do, like you said, have to have 25 feet, unless they're in one of those portable fire pits or something like that, they can adhere to manufacturer's guidelines. I think of like a solo stove, a lot of people have those too, and they can go on pretty much anything. And as long as you're operating underneath the manufacturer's guidelines, you don't have to actually call and have somebody come and inspect it. And they even add, our current code even has room in there for if you live in a single or two-family dwelling, you don't even have to follow those. It has an exception for those even. So I think the issue comes more of, are we expecting our fire department to come out and inspect everybody's portable or recreational fire pit before they ever use it? Because that's a lot of work.
no, I would not want that.
Okay.
And I know you all wouldn't either, and neither would the citizens. So it's not something where we would come and inspect every time. The burn permit or the recreational fire, having that information there to where the citizens can have something to know, be able to look at it and say, okay, well, this is what code says. But, on the 25 feet, that I would say, if somebody is concerned that they're too close or whatever, then that might be something where we would go and look at.
Something. I live at Southwinds, okay? We have an area where there's a lake and all that. And a lot of times we'll have picnics and whatever. I've called to get a permit myself for the event because we were over to clean it up and wanted to have a fire and get rid of the trash for after summer and all that, or after summer and all. And you come out and look at it and you say, yes, and you can put it here. That's the kind of thing that we've called you for, not the specific
Yeah, that's
private thing.
that's the kind of stuff that we should be called for to get a burn permit.
Yes.
When people are after a storm and you have limbs fall and you have a 4 foot by 6 foot tall, that's something we need to be looking at, so that we're not having fires spread over into neighbors' property and possibly catching the neighbor's house on fire, you know? So that's what this would kind of do, is help clear up some of that.
As Alan mentioned, just looking at that language, though, to be able to use my fire pit again, I'd have to get someone from fire official to approve my on-site location, even if it's a gas fire pit.
So we,
One time, it's not a permit, it's just saying if you're within that less than 25 feet, if you see that there in the language. So that's what Alan was saying, if, there'd be a lot of calls before anyone fires up a fire pit on their back porch.
Is it possible just to change that language so it reads more like it did previously for specific residential where we follow manufacturer codes? And then that way people, for one, don't look at this and think, oh, I have to get permission each time. Or if a resident calls and they say, hey, I noticed somebody's having a fire on their back patio, I don't know if that's okay. And then that way you have the ability to say, hey, we can check it out, but you know, those fire pits are supposed to follow manufacturer guidelines, and that's listed whenever you purchase something like that.
I mean, I can go back and do a little more adjusting to that language there, you know, but I don't see, I guess I'm not understanding that concern completely. Because, I mean, again, if you're following the manufacturer's recommendation of use, then it should be good.
So,
And most of them will have a distance that it should be away from any combustible, and it should, you know, so a manufactured burn pit or fire pit will have those recommendations within their stuff saying it's recommended to be placed on concrete 5 feet away from whatever, or however, you know. So the manufacturer's recommendations are in there. So we just trust that they're following those.
So Chief Seaton, would you be interested in, when we push this on, if the individuals who want to discuss that with you, to discuss that and help you
Yeah,
word that, and then,
I'm open to
and then we can just push this on them
that.
too. Everybody good with that?
I'd still like to discuss the time limit piece. I did find something in the City of Columbia's guidelines where it speaks to, it says a permit for open recreational fire is defined by the 2015 International Fire Code. It says, for the sake of safety, it is recommended that you follow the general guidelines for open burning when conducting a recreational fire, which covers a lot of what we've already got, but it's also appreciated that if you call our department and advise us of the location and general times you'll be conducting the recreational fire. So maybe if I know before it was mentioned that the issue was after midnight, there might be calls and you guys get sent out to go check on somebody's portable fire. It might be better to have some wording in there like that where they could call and say, hey, I'm gonna have my fire till after 1 tonight or something. I'm gonna be running 1, so you would already know. So that if a neighbor calls and complains about a fire after midnight, it's really not that big of an issue. I think I know of people that have fires after midnight, and I'd hate to just limit it to that. And this might be an opportunity to educate and grow and work with people versus just limiting that. I know we already moved it from 10 to midnight, which I appreciate, but
Yeah,
I mean, I hate to just create limitations just because complaints, and you guys having to do more work, and this may help solve some of that.
So what you're asking is have a caveat in there and say, or otherwise approved by the fire chief.
Just notify rather than having a time limit on it.
notification of the fire department.
Yeah, instead of a time limit.
Yeah. Well, I like the time limit, and again, the reason I like the time limit is I know excuse me, I have worked calls where after midnight having a fire and people get intoxicated and fall into fires and get burned, and we have to respond to those. I'm not saying that everybody's going to be the ones, you know, getting intoxicated, falling into fires, but, you know, after midnight, if people have been drinking for several hours, then it becomes even higher risk for falling. And then, you know, if we do have it to where it's, hey, give us a call and let us know the information that you're gonna burn past midnight. Well, a lot of times it's gonna be, oh, well, I forgot. And so we won't get those calls. Because a lot of times we get calls for fires and it'd be nothing. And they're like, oh, I forgot to call. You know, so we have that to where that happens quite often. That's why I think a time would be good. And that gives us a little more, you know, okay, well, if we're getting called in the middle of the night, it looks like the neighbor's house is on fire, then we're not going, that's probably a, you know, not that we wouldn't respond with urgency, but it's a mindset thing also that we have to keep, you know, because we always try to keep the mindset of this is an actual thing, but you start going to the same thing. And, you know, and if a fire was to get out of control or whatever, so that's why I like the time limit.
All right, so council, I would say if you do have specific changes or requests that you would like to speak with Chief Singh on, it would be definitely appropriate to do that if you want to move this forward. If you want to vote it down, you can also do that and we can bring it back to you again. Personally, I would recommend moving it forward to third reading and giving another opportunity. We can always postpone it again, whereas if it's voted down, the process starts all the way over.
I'm okay with moving it forward, but I have a couple questions. So if I want to, is there a time frame on here, and it probably in here, and it may be in here, I just missed it, that if you want a burn permit, you had to like give you 24-hour notice or something like that? I can't just say I'm going to have a bonfire tonight and
No, you can call
do
the
it.
day of.
Day of?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's allowed. And the second thing is you mentioned in part of the conversation that, say, a neighbor calls and says, hey, there's a fire next door, and you don't know, and they've got a fire pit going, and you respond and you find that it's not in compliance with our rules. What happens? You just inform them that, you know.
So the way it has been since I've been here is when we get called for, what we get called for is an illegal burn.
Sure.
Normally. So we will respond, and we get there, and then we find out what has occurred,
What's going on, yeah.
and then we will extinguish the fire and explain the burn, what we would expect.
So it's an educational opportunity.
Yeah, so it's an educational at the get-go.
Okay.
And, you know, that's a big part of it right now. Having this would make it a lot easier for the crews to go and be able to explain more detail and have even information that we can hand out to the citizens.
I personally think I like moving it to midnight, you know, and where you draw a line, okay, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, whatever. But, you know, I think we can make a proviso that you notify, and yeah, people are going to forget, they're not going to call. And I understand the concern about the intoxication, but, you know, some people could start, if it's a Super Bowl party, they start at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So it doesn't take, you know, you don't have to wait till midnight to be intoxicated. So, and fall into a fire if you happen to have one or something like that. That nature, you know what I'm saying. So
right.
I understand where you're coming from, but as we've sometimes said, nothing good happens after midnight. But you know, I understand the concern. But you know, I would think that we could have a kind of a combination of midnight unless otherwise notified, and you're still going to have the calls. I know, but
and
hopefully it
then
would cut them down. You know,
and then I think if it's after midnight unless prior approved, then we'll be getting calls at 11:30, quarter till midnight, you know, and our guys may have had a busy day and need just some sleep. So
understand.
So then we're getting woke up for, you know, that.
Hey, I've got a fire going.
I mean,
I understand.
Like I say, that's what I like is the midnight.
Understood.
I think it's fair. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Singh.
Right, thank you.
Okay, All in favor of moving on bill number 1774 the next meeting for the third reading, signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. We have 2 noes? Okay. Okay, it's being moved on to the next meeting. Okay, Councilwoman Reclus, please present bill number 1773 for the third reading.
Yes, Deputy Mayor. Okay. Bill number 1773, Code Amend concerning minors. An ordinance amending Chapter 78 of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Fulton, Missouri by adding Article 12, Offense concerning minors, to promote public safety, prevent juvenile crime, provide for enforcement, and penalize. Establish an effective date. I make a motion that ordinance number 1773 be passed at this council meeting.
We have a motion and a second. We're going to move on to discussion. I would like to ask Chief Ladwig to come on up. He has some update on this.
Bill Ladwig, Police Chief. Fortunate or unfortunate for this date to be the third reading of this particular ordinance for passage. Last night, we had a couple of cars broken into, actually more than a couple, about 7. A couple of firearms stolen out of the cars. During this investigation, we, talking to neighbors and home video surveillance, part of the community camera initiative, took us back to February 3rd, where we had another stolen vehicle with a stolen firearm, stolen wallet with credit cards. And looking at that video, officers were able to say, yeah, we know this person. 14 years old, and this is the 7th time in the last 12 months they've been picked up for incidents similar to this. And this occurred at 3 a.m. with 2 adults at home in the house. And citizen spoke earlier about concerns of profiling and things. Racially profiling anybody or socioeconomically profiling somebody is something we don't do. That would be really kind of disgusting, and I wouldn't put up with it. What we did do in this case was criminally profiling somebody. That this was a name of a juvenile that had come up. We get the video, and there they are, because that's what they like to do. And the adult supervision at home is non-existent. To be out at 3 a.m. watching video of going to cars and trying all the car doors to see if they're open. I'm not trying to legislate how people parent, but if the parent picked up a municipal charge and had a fine because 3 a.m. on a Tuesday night, roaming around and you're stealing guns, out of the 3 last homicides in Fulton, 2 involved juveniles and firearms and gun violence. It's just too easy for kids to get a gun, whether an adult gives it to them or they're stealing them out of cars. And I think responsible gun owners should take them out of their cars and lock their vehicles at night, and that would cut down on a lot of this. Absolutely. But at the same time, 14-year-olds just roaming around town with the intent to commit crimes is a problem that if we can nip that and maybe use this as a deterrent, I would be very upset if I was a parent and my kid was walking down the street at 1 a.m. coming home from a friend's house, because A, we're not going to use this for that. I would not let that leave the building. That type of charge against a parent or a kid that you don't deal with ever. But when you have them and you're detained for the 7th time in 12 months and there's a stolen firearm, just another tool in the toolbox to try to deter this type of thing from happening. We're doing other programs. We help sponsor with Reverend Jackson and others, program to help kids understand what the realities of going to jail, being incarcerated, or going to prison are like. We're trying that as well. Unfortunately, a little too much apathy in the world when it comes to parenting sometimes. And so it's just timely that on this night, we had this happen, and I think it was good police work. Criminal profiling is perfectly fine, and we do that every day. But nobody's going to be racially profiled or profiled just because they're maybe a one parent or a low income house. That's not going to happen. I would be repulsed by that, and I'm not going to let my officers do that. But I will let them do good police work, and they figured it out tonight.
Chief Ludwig, how would this ordinance assist in this type of situation?
Well, I think if parents understand that, yes, your child will be referred to the juvenile office, but you have an adult charge yourself in the municipal court, that would result in a fine, not jail time. But maybe that $100 fine or $200 fine if it happens the second time, and a $500 fine up to on the third offense. Maybe they'll pay a little more attention to where their 13, 14, 15-year-old kids are at 3 a.m.
Chief, what about, they're not listening to their parents?
No.
So
We
finding the
have-
parents,
There are
because
programs through the juvenile office. We can also help with our community behavioral health liaisons and the youth specialists through Arthur Center. We do everything we can to offer that to people and to get that word out. But, the offer, it's there, the help is there, but getting someone to accept it, partake it, that can be tough too. But we do try.
My biggest concern with this is if the parent's not parenting the child, are they going to pay the fine? Are they going to care that they're getting the fine? Because if they're not home and they're not parenting the child and the child's out at 3 a.m., are they also making some poor decisions, and are they going to even care? Oh, well, it's a fine. Who cares? I'm not going to pay it.
Well, if they don't or don't show up to court, then that is when an arrest warrant would be issued for the parent, even in municipal court. So at some point, I think they would probably care. I would hope. But again, this is only for these extreme cases and serious crimes that we would use this for, not somebody coming home late from the movie or on a date, or some, say they get caught throwing toilet paper in their friend's house on a prank. That's not what this is designed for. And that's not what we are going to use it for. That's why we have the utmost discretion that would be used.
Chief,
Yes, sir.
I can't help but wonder if part of our system is broken in such a way that now we're trying to create an ordinance for a system that's not working as appropriately as it should be. Being the juvenile system, and I don't understand how it all works, but they get in trouble, they go, I guess, through the juvenile system, and they come back and they do it again. I mean, how's the repercussions through that system? Is it just not enough? Is there enhancements needed on the juvenile
they're
type system?
overwhelmed like everything else. Instead of more medical convenient care clinics, I would love to see more convenient care clinics for mental health issues, because that's what a lot of this may stem from. But again, the work we do with our behavioral health liaisons at Arthur Center, with the youth specialists, school counselors, the juvenile system, everything's overwhelmed, it seems like. But again, apathy when it comes to your own household seems to be the biggest issue. And I don't, if I knew how to cure that, I guess I'd be a billionaire. But we're just trying to maybe steer them a little harder into the direction of accepting that help. And maybe that's what this will help do.
What happens right now, Chief, like in that situation last night, and maybe you can't answer this, I don't know. But in the situation last night or 2 nights ago when these cars were stolen, are the parents responsive? Like when you call them and you say, hey, I have your 14-year-old, we caught them stealing a gun. Are they acknowledging?
When they made contact with the parent, the
Really
first,
quickly, I do want us to be very cautious about talking about something that is currently open.
yeah,
I wasn't sure if on that, if it,
some are very responsive. And some will say, yeah, I saw that news story and I thought it might be him. You never know. But that happens. But I appreciate this opportunity to come up. And again, and I hope you know me well enough from working at the police department as long as I have. Discretion, discretion, discretion. This is not, the fix-it-all tool. It's only in these extreme cases, especially when there's a car and a firearm stolen. That
Chief, is there any data that you can support, that you can give us? If there's any data that you can give us that, hey, if you're gonna put an ordinance out, for example, ex-basketball coach, and I'm trying to discipline my kids to do things, and maybe I'm having a running exercise or a drill, and one of the kids is just dogging it, just not really doing it. And then I put everybody on the lines, hey, trying to get that team peer pressure. Hey, come on, to encourage this kid to do this. And the kid just keeps on doing it. And should I force everybody to run if this kid is just dogging? Or should I just try to discipline that kid for what he's doing? Just that one kid. And so why should I punish all the other kids? And because they're doing it the right way. They're doing what I'm asking them to do. And this one kid is not doing it.
well,
So,
the kids that are doing what they're supposed to be doing and home asleep at 3 a.m. or maybe cramming for a
Right.
test in their bedroom, they're not going to be punished whatsoever. The city of Troy, just slightly smaller than Fulton, used this ordinance 18 times in a year and a half. And I hope our numbers are much less than that. And when I think about, well, who could it be? I mean, there's maybe 3 or 4 names that I could come up with, one of them being who was involved in this. Is it a cure-all? No. Is it maybe a tool to, maybe I do need to pay a little more attention to where my kid is at 3 a.m. But no, we're not looking for punishment for the child. This is more directed towards parents of continuously delinquent behavior that's being allowed to happen.
so if we pass this and so I trust you and I trust Major Hedges to make those decisions, those educated decisions. You've been in our community a long time. I think that if either one of you were making the choice, I feel really, really good about it, really solid about it. But let's say we're 5 years from now and Major Hedges breaks his leg and he can't work anymore and you've retired. And we have somebody that's in that place that is abusing this. Is it something that the council at that point could go back and
City
change?
council, yep, city council always retains the right to repeal, amend, or modify an existing ordinance.
And I think we pretty much exhausted all our questions here. I appreciate the chief for standing up here and giving us a summary of this.
I've got one more thing if I can.
Oh, yes.
I'm still coming back to those studies that I brought up a couple weeks ago. Like, I appreciate everything, like what this is trying to do. But there's a lot of studies that have been done on these sorts of things, been trying to get parents to behave a certain way because of a child. And if they're already apathetic, if they're already in a hard space, fines don't solve anything, curfews don't solve anything. you can't change a parent's behavior because it's already the parents that are struggling. And so in a situation like this, I wonder if there would be opportunity to, come together as a community in a different way and try to solve the issue versus just offering fines. And because my other little piece to this is as you read through the ordinance, the curfew is one piece and the fines are the other piece, and they're not mutually tied together. The curfew is just another avenue of issuing the fine. So if they're out late or whatever, but we could technically still fine parents during the day.
I'm not looking for the fine money or
Sure.
the fine parents.
And I don't think
I
so.
think it's a good tool for maybe the municipal prosecutor, if that charge is filed, to work with that parent and the judge, and in lieu of a fine, let's get them to partake in that help and therapy and counseling that's available in lieu of the fine. That's always an option. And that's what I would ask the city prosecutor to do. There's, different elements, and, our city prosecutor, good person. And I think that is really the way that this might go. But if you're dealing with the second and third time and they don't want to participate or make life better for them or their child, I don't know. This isn't a cure-all. I'm not
Yeah.
claiming that it is, but it is a good way to help direct a parent having some issues down the right path to seek the help, to help themselves and that child, and not for that child to end up incarcerated as an adult.
Sure. And I agree with that. And like I said before, I trust you and I understand the intent. I'm just not convinced with the research that I've done that this is necessarily our best opportunity. I would love to see the community come together and have a way of rallying behind you and helping you with these versus just putting it on our police department and trying to enforce it in that way. Like, how else can we serve these? I know the school's trying to serve those same students the same way. How can we, I know you serve them and you help them, but how can we as a community get behind and do something versus just putting, I don't know, laws behind it?
Well, it's a place to start. Again, I'm not looking to generate revenue
I know.
from this. I'm looking for ways to help convince somebody, oh, this is a problem. We need to fix it. Because that hasn't been done before.
Are you informing to us that there are a number of kids, or is it just 1, 2, or 3 kids? Are we looking at 20 or 30 kids breaking these curfew times that you were looking at?
It's not necessarily such a prevalent, like there's 100 kids at any given time out after curfew.
Yeah.
That's not happening here.
Okay.
But it's a place to start so that maybe a 13, 14-year-old that may have younger siblings, it may keep those younger siblings. The parents will go, oh, wait, well, I already went through this, not going to do it again. For the juvenile office to also remind parents, hey, there's an ordinance in place now, because I talked to one today that was going to watch the meeting this evening because they were very interested in this and thinks that it would help. They couldn't be here this evening, but they had planned on coming, but I'm pretty sure they're watching. Anything that we can do to try to convince a parent to be a little more participatory in their child's life, it's worth a shot to me.
I'm not interested in a blanket approach. I think we need to deal directly with that parent. I think after so many altercations here, 4 or 5 times your kid's been after hours, he needs to be, we're going to have some kind of ordinance or something. After the 3rd time, you're going to be fined and that kind of thing. Something, I think a little more discussion that we can find an avenue or something to deal with and that concern and that problem that you're talking about. Like you said, it's a start. I think just having a blanket approach, I think we need more data, more information that we can, like you said, it's not a group, it's just maybe a few that are breaking this curfew kind of thing, so.
Okay.
Is it possible to postpone this until next meeting?
Yes.
I make a motion to postpone until next meeting.
I'll second it. But I do have something I was about to talk about though, still.
Okay,
Is that still in order?
we have to, we have, okay,
Okay, so I can't make any more discussion.
No.
Okay.
okay. All in favor of postponing, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nay? It's be postponed until the next meeting. Thank you, Chief Ladwick. Appreciate your support. The next regular city council meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, February 24th at 6:30 PM. The City of Fulton Legend Recplex and Solid Waste Department will be closed Thursday, February 12th in observance of Lincoln's birthday, and on Monday, February 16th in observance of President's Day. Emergency services will remain in normal operations. We have a reason for an executive session tonight pursuant to Section 610-021, items 1 and 9, legal actions and employee negotiations. Is there a motion to enter executive?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Stand up and
All
vote.
opposed, nay.
Really quickly, there will be a roll call vote for that closed session.
Mr. Hingy,
Yes.
Mr. Luther,
Yes.
Ms. Nelson, Ms. Reclue, Mr. Washington, Mr. West, Mr. Combs. Thank you.